modern zoos.
Dinosaurs are without a doubt the magnum opus of animals to have ever roamed our planet. For decades, movies, shows, books, and even video games have imagined.
Okay. We've already seen Jurassic Park, but now we've got more movies I haven't heard about. So, what were they? 6 seconds. Jurassic Park, Prehistoric Park. Yes, just those two.
Video games have
I have not heard of Prehistoric Park.
imagined what it would look like if these prehistoric animals returned to the modern world. From fame,
We would all die. I'm pretty sure you have that in mind.
dinosaur parks to secret research facilities, pop culture has no shortage of ideas for keeping dinosaurs within captivity. But how realistic are these depictions? If scientists somehow manage to bring dinosaurs back from extinction, could we?
And they can't, because DNA required and healthy enough to be created, that turns sour after a certain point. So after 66 million years, I believe that would be not that good anymore. That DNA would be so degraded that even though it can't be destroyed, it is basically useless to people.
Actually keep them in zoos? Or would they present too great of a challenge to overcome? Well, let's find out. G'day mates, hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be exploring one of the biggest hypothetical questions in relation to dinosaurs. If brought back from extinction, could they be successfully kept in captivity? As always, if you enjoy these hypothetical videos, make sure to like and subscribe for more. At a first glance, the answer might seem
Just like you can do with a dragon like me.
pretty straightforward. After all, modern zoos already care for thousands of different species, from amphibians to mammals to reptiles to birds to insects. They also care for some of the largest and hence most potentially dangerous animals to exist today. This includes, of course, elephants, rhinos, hippos, crocodiles, tigers, and lions.
And all the other members of the Big Five, they're the most dangerous creatures to hunt in Africa. You know, all them.
If we can already successfully care for these animals, why can't we do the same for dinosaurs?
Because dinosaurs are very high maintenance, tall, and more likely to eat you than a fucking bear.
However, when looking beyond the initial excitement of seeing living dinosaurs, the situation becomes pretty complicated pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're dealing with ancient reptiles that need the certain amount of temperature and dietary needs. Like, they hunted things that are already long gone, so they'd go extinct pretty quickly. If not, they'd really fuck up the ecosystem. You see what I'm saying?
Keeping dinosaurs in captivity would require solving problems unlike anything any modern zoological institution has ever faced.
Yes, how are you going to feed them? How are you going to regulate their temperature? What kind of enclosure are you gonna build? What kind of enclosure would a dinosaur stay in? And especially for things like sauropods. Nigga, those things are huge. They would not be in no tiger enclosure.
Added to that, it would be on a significant scale. The first challenge, of course, would be understanding the dinosaurs themselves. When zoologists care for modern species, they have access to decades and in some cases even centuries of information. Scientists are able to study these animals in the wild and in captivity. They're able to study migration patterns, social behavior, diets, communication methods, the average sizes, reproduction habits, and responses to environmental changes.
And that's what animal science should be part of. That is all the requirements you need in order to have a zoo in the first place.
All of these different aspects are highly important when zoos attempt to recreate suitable habitats for said animals. Dinosaurs, on the other hand, are pretty much limited with the information we have. Though paleontologists have learned an incredible amount of information by just their fossils, as much as I hate to say it, even they have limits. Bones are able to tell us how large an animal could be. They can reveal how it moved. Fossilized stomach contents can sometimes provide clues about their diets, while
I had learned about this recently, and it was like fascinating. Like, scientists could really find the remains of prey or plant material inside the animal's stomach, and now they know what they ate after further identification.
trackways can show how certain species would travel. But again, fossils can't tell us everything. For example, the debate on dinosaur behavior. Did certain species of dinosaurs live in family groups? If so, how large were they? And if highly intelligent, what sort of stimulus should be added? Were they
Yeah, even now, like, paleontology is newly discovering things about dinosaurs and pterosaurs and all the marine reptiles that inhabited the Mesozoic era. So we don't know much yet, actually, about the the lifestyle that these creatures had.
territorial? How much distance could they travel in a day? How would they respond to stress? Without an answer to these basic questions, zoo staff would be essentially caring for dinosaurs whose needs remain pretty much unknown. For the staff, it would be blindly playing pin the tail on the donkey.
I hate ads. Okay, let me give it a second.
Playing pin the tail on the donkey. Hence, this would instantly create some pretty bad problems. Consider what happens when modern animals experience stress within captivity. Some may stop eating while others may develop repetitive behaviors. Now imagine trying to identify these warning signs in an animal that no human has ever observed alive before.
Yeah.
Unless they repeat the same sort of behavior as modern animals, caretakers may not instantly realize something is wrong. And even on the condition they did realize, how would they be able to address the problem when they don't know the root cause of it? When moving on to the dietary plan for dinosaurs, this, well, again, just represents another large challenge. Now, hypothetically, I think that many of them, mainly the carnivores, would be able to consume today's food. That wouldn't be too far-fetched on paper. Specifically for herbivores, if scientists had the technological prowess to bring them back, then they could either restore prehistoric plant communities or modify said herbivores to be able to consume modern vegetation without too many problems. The true issue that we'd run into here is the sheer scale required. Take up
I mean, just look at them. Like, you know all your shit about theropods, but when it comes to the sauropods, you don't know shit. Like, that's the whole point. You need to stop glorifying T-Rex, because other dinosaurs, they need the requirements and spotlight to survive.
Dinosaurs, for example, one of the largest land animals to ever be discovered. This giant could have weighed in at over 90 tons. That is roughly the weight of 17 African elephants. And
90 tons is worth about 180,000 pounds, if y'all are curious.
an animal of that size would likely require enormous quantities of food every day. Maintaining even a small herd of these would demand agriculture resources on a scale that no zoo would be able to deal with. What about the smaller
Yeah, that's
ones?
impossible.
Well, food-wise, they'd be much more accommodating. A 10-ton Diplodocus and Camarasaurus have been estimated in a 2018 study to eat around 30 kilograms of food per day, while a 7-ton African elephant would need to eat around 40 kilograms of the same food source. So
I have to have my
smaller
videos.
to medium-sized species would likely be the most realistic, likely those that weigh in at around 5 tons or less. Take Velociraptor, for example, arguably the most famous dromaeosaur. No, not the movie version, of course, the real animal. The actual Velociraptor, as I'm sure many of you already know, would be around the size of a large turkey. While it still would be dangerous, it would be much easier to house than something like a giga...
Why are we making Giga Chad Velociraptors? Like, Jurassic World makes these full-on, like, human-sized Velociraptors like it's nothing. Like, how are you able to make something of that scale.
Dinosaurs. They need far smaller spaces, far less food volume, but in saying that, they don't automatically bring that awe factor. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure most would visit a zoo holding a Velociraptor, Psittacosaurus, and Microraptor. However, in saying that, I don't think it necessarily means they would be going every day. That is the importance of having dinosaurs that are a bit larger. Medium-sized dinosaurs may present more of a challenge, but realistically, to gain more attendance, they would be needed. Take Allosaurus for example. An adult allosaur would likely have weighed in between 1 to 4 tons depending on the species brought back. So while they would still be pretty big, it would not be titanic. I mean, although having to be edited into a unique terrain,
Like things like Tyrannosaurus and Allosaurus, all these huge carnivores, they weren't really that big to be like, oh my gosh, this is revolutionary and world breaking. Because you still had your sauropods, you had things upwards of up to 200,000 pounds. Let me say that again, 200K, by the way.
Allosaur could certainly fit in an empty elephant's enclosure. In saying that, since zoos are already housing elephants, does that mean that an allosaur would be a walk in the park? To be honest, not really. Unlike an elephant, allosaurs are quick, agile, and most importantly, carnivorous. That means if it managed to escape containment, that could cause quite a bit of issues. Moving on, what are the chances that true giants like sauropods would be added into a zoo? And if I've not made it clear enough throughout this whole video, then yeah, pretty much.
That would be hard as fuck. Because you have to acknowledge this thing is huge. How are we going to build an enclosure that can support his long ass neck? Yeah, how do you think of that?
Anything above 10 to 15 tons would not be highly likely. A national park, sure, but a zoo, not so much. You could argue that a single Argentinosaurus would likely need 10 times more space than what a herd of elephants would get, so we can cross out the giants upon giants. And finally, of course, we have the celebrity of the dinosaur world, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Can we have it in a zoo?
No. 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 Absolutely not. And the reason is that human safety, first of all, and also Tyrannosaurus would have needed so much space to hunt and live. Like, it's traumatizing. And I don't think you want to traumatize kids with those feeding routines.
If a zoo wanted to solely focus on having a Tyrannosaurus Rex, then yes, it could certainly be contained. Though modern zoos occasionally experience escapes despite extensive safety measures, from my perspective, a cheeky hack that I would.
Yeah, like, what if the T-Rex escapes? What are you gonna do then now?
Imagine zoos would likely do just to avoid issues with larger megatheropods from escaping would be either 1, putting a moat around their enclosure, or 2, putting them within a hole in the ground. Both aren't likely great options and severely restrict the available space and hence not bring full well-being to the dinosaur, but realistically for safety's sake, that may be what happens. But let us say for a moment that we've somehow sorted the biggest problems. Let's say we've built the enclosures, we've worked out each of their diets and successfully brought back a population of dinosaurs from extinction. Would that mean that the hard part is over? I mean, yeah, no, I really wish it was. It's not even close. In fact, some of the biggest.
It's actually impossible, didn't you know that? Alright. Final stretch.
Dinosaurs like Utahraptor, Styracosaurus or Stegosaurus would have their fair share of challenges, but at the end of the day still be managed through specialised training. But I won't lie, the bigger fellas are a bit of a dice roll. As said before, the giant sauropods would absolutely not be fit for a zoo, and if they did somehow manage to get their hands on one, they would cost so much that they may just be ran out of.
Like, the US doesn't even have that much money to back up something like a sauropod in a place like the San Diego Zoo. Think about that. Not even the world's economic superpower, the United States, or China for that fact, or Russia. Neither could hold it.
business. Meanwhile, megatheropods like Giganotosaurus and Spinosaurus would be pushing zoos' budgets to the absolute limit, likely meaning they would only have a choice for picking one or two species. So with all that being said and done, I'm of the belief that dinosaurs can of course be kept in captivity, proving that we keep it realistic and well within our means.
That is the most AI thing I've ever heard someone say.
We couldn't be able to grade for an Argentinosaurus. I'm sorry, viewers that may have wanted that. So, in terms of the sort of dinosaurs that you'd be looking at in a zoo setting, it would mainly consist of ornithomimids as they are comparatively small and have low upkeep. Various.
But you know Jurassic World. If they escape, it'll be wraps for the zoo, and it'll be wraps for many species down the line. And with that being said, YouTube, that is could we keep dinosaurs in zoos? Moral of the story, don't push more than you can chew. Hey, that rhymes. Animalia Stars and Stripes, that'll be on the 3rd of July. It'll continue until the 5th. We've got land, sky, and sea. So, with that being said, we are Dark Knight Dragons. Love y'all. And peace.